My first thoughts when I realized that Loki was going to have a series created for him were mostly surprise and delight, because I quite recently had filmed the scene in Avengers Infinity War, and most people who've seen that film know what happens to Loki in that moment. So I thought this is wonderful, but how are we going to do this? Because what happens. So yeah, I was so excited and I was so thrilled. I felt very honored that Marvel, the producers at Marvel Studios, had wanted to make a show about Loki, and then really excited about where we would go. And they were very generous and inclusive in asking me what I thought I hadn't explored yet as the character. Because we covered quite a lot of ground in the Thor movies and in the Avengers movies, but there were still things in various bits of research I'd done over the years, which I thought, oh, we haven't done that. We could explore this, and they were gracious enough to include some of my ideas, but most of the best ones did not belong to me. So in terms of the bits of Loki that you haven't seen before, what's interesting is that in this show, it's the Loki you know in a world you don't know. And he's stripped of all the things that are familiar. There's no Thor, there's no Odin, there's no Frigga, there's no Asgard, he doesn't even have his clothes or his magical powers. And so the question for me was, without those things, what remains? What makes Loki Loki? And the TVA, this organization, this institution that governs the order of time, is extremely confronting for him. It sort of is a mirror for himself. And he's forced to integrate some of the things perhaps he's always run from, some of the aspects of his life and his interior life, and driven towards a curiosity about finding out more. So yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but he's still the same guy. Charming, witty, charismatic on the outside, broken, fragmented, and a bit isolated on the inside. But there's room for maneuver, and maybe there's a chance he can change. We'll see. As an actor, what I loved about playing Loki in this series was particularly taking the things that I feel we had built about the character over time, and then putting him in new scenarios with new characters, working with Owen Wilson and Gugu Mbatha-Raw and Wumi Masaku and Sophia Di Martino and so many more. I don't want to spoil who they are and who they're playing, but these new, fresh dynamics with all of the energy that these new actors bring, and therefore kind of creating new connections and that in itself revealing stuff. That's the most exciting aspect of it for me as an actor, is working with other actors and seeing their brilliant ideas and how generous they are. Particularly those actors I've mentioned, they were just great, and so that feels very fresh and very new. Yeah. One of the things I remembered about looking into Loki when I was starting out was trying to remind myself that Loki is the god of mischief, and mischief is as much a part of his identity as Thor is the god of thunder, and the way he swings that hammer and creates the lightning and the storm is a huge part of who Thor is. So mischief seemed to me to be a kind of guiding influence on the tone. And if you look up mischief in the dictionary, it says abstract noun, inclination to playfulness. I thought, okay, so everything just has to be, it can be quite profound, it can be dramatic, but keep the strain of playfulness in there. And I thought, the Loki series wouldn't be Loki without a bit of mischief. So I think all the humor comes from that twinkly, cheeky, slightly disruptive, strain of humour that I think is threaded through the series. So yeah, Mobius is very confronting for Loki, because Loki's someone who's used to being in control, and he knows the cards in his hand and how he's going to play them. And I think Mobius is detached, and Loki's a bit confused because his usual tricks and sort of powers of persuasion don't work on Mobius, who seemed kind of rather amused by it. And so Mobius and Loki develop a unlikely and possibly unstable game of trust, really, which is they both realize they need each other, but they're not sure if they can trust each other, which makes it very fun. And Owen himself was just a complete delight. He was so playful and so prepared, and brought so many great ideas, and it was such a new flavor, for Loki. I think I loved it. I can't say enough good things about Kate Herron. She joined the project about 7 or 8 months before we started, and the first time I met her I'll never forget, because I think it was quite soon after she had pitched her vision for the series to the producers at Marvel, and it was the most detailed and most passionate and most extraordinary vision I couldn't have. It was just amazing what she prepared. It was so passionate, and she had done so much work already and had so many brilliant ideas. And she was very respectful. She knows that the character of Loki means a lot to a lot of people, and that these stories already have an established place in the audience's minds. And she was so respectful of that, but also brought so many brilliant new ideas to the table. She told me once, we went for a walk around Central Park in New York, and she said, the one thing I never stop doing, Tom, is I never stop working. And now that I'm at the other side of the experience, I can tell you that's absolutely true. She worked so hard and so creatively. She was just brilliant. Really respectful, really kind, very, very generous. And I think what she's done with this series is exemplary. I think when Loki starts streaming on June 9th, viewers can look forward to seeing the Loki they know in a world they don't know. And I think that's the most exciting aspect for me. And I hope for them. This guy it's the Loki from Avengers 1. His ego is a bit bruised, but he's still got some good ideas. He's witty, he's charming, he's charismatic, he's broken, he's isolated, he's fragmented, but there's still room for maneuver, and there's still time, even though the series is kind of about time. But there's still time for things to change, and I think that's the most exciting aspect. Loki he's been on one journey through Ragnarok, Dark World, Ragnarok, and Infinity War, and this is another journey, and I can't wait for audiences to see it.